Scott here. I've put a video together this time on how to put some bling on your W204 C-Class sedan. What I've done is I've retrofitted some angel eyes into the standard headlight, and they've come up really well, and the total cost is around about $20 per headlight. So I've just completed the left-hand side light, and I have the by Xenon headlights. So each different type of headlight is a little bit different. So I've used 90mm around the main projector and 76mm around the high beam. But other variants of the headlight are going to require different size angel eye rings. It's a pretty straightforward job, and the lens cover comes off the headlight very easily once you heat it up. So here in Australia we call the young guys who put bling all over their Japanese cars, we call them rice boys. I'm trying to come up with a name for middle-aged men who put bling on their Mercedes-Benzes. The best I could come up with is sauerkraut men. So that's what I am. I'm a sauerkraut man. Headlight on the bench. Now, the headlight lens is held in to the body. It's just pushed into place, and there's a mastic in there that needs to be softened, and we softened that by making what I call a hot air oven. Now you can use a large cardboard box with a hole in the side and poke a hairdryer into there. That works quite well. I'll just use a cupboard that I've got here in my man cave. So the first thing we need to do is that there are 4 clips, 2 on the top here. So there's one there, and one there, and one here. So we need to take those clips off, but before we do, we just need to mark where they go. So just using a marker pen, I'll just put a little black line where the clips go. And just a screwdriver, just put it under the clip and just lift them up. Okay, so that's ready to come off now once we've heated it up. And what I suggest you do is get yourself one of these. That is a paint tin remover tool that you can buy down at your hardware store for $2 or $3, and it works really, really well. It's looks like it was made for the job. In fact, I reckon Mercedes could put their star in the middle there and call it the Mercedes headlight lens removal tool and probably charge you $100 for it. So this is what I do. I've got the cupboard here, which I've emptied, and I've got my wife's hairdryer, and all I do is I put the headlight in there, don't need to take the globes out or anything. I'll close that, and I just put this towel there just to cover the gap. Yeah, so I'll turn it on to high and probably leave the headlight in there for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and it'll warm up enough to soften that mastic. So let's make a start. Okay, this is nice and warm now. So with my special paint tin opening tool, you can, it's got a curve on it just here, so what you can do is you can poke it in to the joint there and actually push it in and get the little lip behind the edge of the lens and prise it out. So this works really well. So I'm just prising that out now. So if you start at the end, one end, it actually comes out fairly easily. So that's working its way out. The other thing that's handy is a piece of flat like that with where the edges have been smoothed off, and you can sort of poke that in and twist, and that also helps as well. You can hear the mastic coming undone. So by using the two tools, that and the bar, just twist. So that's the top, is just about out now. Just turn it over. It's quite messy stuff, this. Let's use my bar as well. Still a bit warm. Okay, so it's off. I've just got to undo the top Parker lights there. So that was pretty easy. That's what it looks like with the lens off. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill about a 10mm hole through the back of the housing, just here, so it's in between the two lights, and that's to pass the cables through for the angel eyes. So it's between the two lights. I'm going to drill a hole just there. Start to get to the serious stuff. So here's my two angel lights. Oops. So there's the large one that's going to go here, and here's the 76mm one, which will go there around the high beam. Now I've done a bit of research on this, and it appears the best way to fix these things into your headlight is some sort of a mechanical fixture. Double-sided tape and anything like that, there's always a risk that it'll fall off. These headlights would get pretty hot if they're sitting out in the sun. So a thin stainless steel wire is, or seems to be the best way to go. And then you just tie wire them on. If you can use a nice thin wire, you don't even see it unless you've got your face right up against the headlight. A 1mm drill bit here, which is absolutely tiny, and I've got some 0.8mm stainless steel tie wire. And that's how I fixed the other one, the left hand side. So with the main projector here, we don't need to drill a hole because, as you can see, I can poke those scissors through the top there, so we can just put a piece of tie wire around there. But down the bottom here, I'm going to drill a 1mm hole just there on that face, and I'm going to drill it straight. So to drill it on this face here. Like that. Just get rid of the swarf. Before we mount them, the other thing you need to do is buy yourself some bright, shiny, silvery tape. Because what we do is wrap the wires with this tape here, because then you won't see the wires. They sort of blend in. So what I did last time is I just cut some thin strips like this and just put them around. Just put them around like that. This stuff is quite cheap. You can get it down at your hardware store. So what I discovered last time was is to poke the wires through there at about 45. Quite nicely in there like that. And then these two wires here, I'll poke them through that 10mm hole that I drilled. So with my first piece of tie wire, I'm going to put that through here. Okay, so I've got the bottom wire in, and I'm just going to, I want to get it so that when I twist it together it's at the bottom. Really secure, it's not going to go anywhere. So I'll nip the excess off. It's a 90mm angel eye ring, and it costs about $11 Australian for two. Now I'm going to do the smaller one to the high beam. So with my 1mm drill bit, I'm going to drill a hole through the top here and through the bottom there, so I can wire them on as well. So let's make a start. I'm going to blow that out later with a bit of compressed air. And if you get any fingerprints, just use a microfiber cloth and they clean up nicely. Now, I'm just going to cut a little piece of silver tape again. So I need to fold that wire down so it's sort of roughly at right angles, and then put the tape as close as I can to the plastic angel eye. Okay. Now this time you want to have the wire fairly close to the top, so probably at about about a 10-20 degree angle towards the centre. So that's going to sit on there. I'll just get my little pieces of wire. going to have the wires coming out about there. The angel rings are now secured with the stainless steel wire, and believe me, once you get them on the car, get the light back on the car, you barely notice this unless you stand right up close to the headlight. You've got to put your face right in the front of it, so it's not an issue. I've just got a couple of little fingerprints there. Let's get rid of them. Now, same deal with the wire. I'll poke that through the 10mm hole I drilled. Right. So both those are through. Now, what we have to do is, again with our silver tape, just cut a small piece. So this wire has to sit on the chrome there. So if you get a piece of the silver tape and place it over there, and again you barely notice this tape because of all the reflections inside. You just won't see it unless you go looking. And you can make it nice and smooth. I need a little bit more. I just need a little bit more tape for there. I'll just check the fingerprints, make sure everything's nice and clean. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to whip over to the compressor and just blow a bit of air into the back there just to get any swarf out. We're ready to put the lens back on the headlight now. So what we've got to do is heat it all up again. So I just put both pieces into the hot air oven. Put the lens in. And then put the body of the headlight in. And get the thing going. Okay, just heated them up again. I think before I do anything, I think it's prudent just to check that these lights work. Yep, the big one works, and the small one works. It's great. Now, what I did last time, I think it's prudent to put some additional mastic. So this product is called Selly's D mastic, and it's specifically designed for headlights and windscreens and that sort of thing. So all I did with the other one is I just went around and put a small amount in the groove here, because the last thing I want is for this to be leaking. Usually you can just put it straight back in again with the mastic that's there, but I thought I'd better be conservative. Okay, that's a little smear all the way around. put these park lights in. You just push it back into place. It goes in quite easily. And I used some large multi-grip pliers with the multi-grip pliers and just squeezed it in. It's going in very well. Okay, so that's the top. I'll just put those little clips on. Okay, that's one clip on. Get one on this end here. Second clip on. Turn her upside down. So you can just go around with your multi-grips and just squeeze it in. The mastic oozes out. It's hard with a splint on. Third one. Okay, so the headlight cover's gone on well. It seems to be nicely sealed. I put it back in the oven for a while just to heat it up again so it was nice and soft and the clips sort of pulled it in. And I've gone around the edges several times with the multi-grips just to squeeze it in. Now the next thing to do is, here are the two wires, two pairs of wires. So what I've done with the other one is I've made up a connector so that, you know, if I need to take the headlight out again, this will be connected to those, and I'll have a plug so I can just pull it out. So I'm going to snip these bullet style connectors off and solder that on. So what I've done here is I've bared the ends of the wires and I've twisted the two positives together and the two negatives. So I'm just going to tin these with some solder. Here's my connector, and I've already tinned the wires, and I'll just get some heat shrink tubing. Right. So the blue is going to be the positive, so I'll solder that to the white wire that has the blue thread in it. And the brown is the negative, so that goes here. Okay, there's some heat shrink here, so I'll slip that over like that. Use the hairdryer to do this. So what I'm doing is I'm using some of the mastic, and I'm going to plug this up. Okay, this is ready to go back in the car now, so just before I do though, I'm just going to check again, just to make sure that it all works. So that's working, that's good. So I've tidied all this up, put a bit of insulation tape around there. There's the mastic. So when I take the headlight out in future, I just have to undo, you know, that plug and the HID plugs and then the main plug. So now it's ready to go back in the vehicle. I've made myself up a harness for these angel eyes, just using standard 2-pin auto connectors. So that end there will plug into the left-hand headlight angel eye, and then the cables, we've used red and brown, they come through and connect in parallel with the other connector there that will go into the right-hand angel eye. And then these two wires here, the brown one is the earth wire, so I've got an eyelet on the end, so that'll connect to an earthing point, and then the blue one will go into the fuse box to the appropriate fuse once I work out which one. So the brown and the blue wire at this end coming from that terminal or that connector are a higher gauge because they're carrying the current for both angel eyes. So now what I'm going to do is wrap them in black insulation tape just to make it nice and neat. So here's my wiring here, so I've plugged that one in, that goes off to the left hand angel eye, and I've just routed my cable along there, use cable ties to neaten it up. So it's all quite tidy, I think, and there's the other plug there going into the right hand one. And then this is going to go up. This end will go up here. The earthing cable will bolt onto that terminal down there. And then the blue one, which is down there, is going to go up there into the fuse box. So here's the connection I've made into the fuse box. I've connected it into the 20 amp fuse there, which is fuse number 23. Now that's one of the fuses related to the fuel pump, so it will only operate the angel lights when the engine is running or when the ignition is on. But when you turn the car off, the angel eyes will keep going for about 10 seconds because the fuel pump keeps going after you turn it off for a little while. So that's quite handy. It's almost like an extra little courtesy light. And to get this cable into the fuse box, you can slide this rubber grommet up and just put the cable there, and then just put the grommet back in, and it sort of sandwiches it into place. So that's quite convenient. So that was easy to get into the fuse box, no drawing of holes. So that's it for this video. I think you've got enough information to have a crack at it yourself, so thanks for watching.